The November rain in Manhattan had turned Thomas Morrison's cardboard sign into pulp. For 3 hours, he'd been sitting outside Chase Bank's flagship branch on Park Avenue, his weathered face hidden beneath a week's worth of gray stubble and a torn Yankees cap. The sign, barely readable now, said, "Vietnam vet. Need help. God bless." But Thomas Morrison wasn't there for spare change. Inside the gleaming 40-story tower, Regional Director Patricia Hawthorne was conducting her Monday morning meeting. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she could see the city's elite hurrying past, their umbrellas forming a black river against the morning drizzle. Third quarter profits are up 17%, she announced to her team of executives. But I want to see 25 by year-end. That means tighter lending criteria and more aggressive foreclosure proceedings. Her assistant, Marcus, shifted uncomfortably. "Ma'am, we've already foreclosed on 300 homes this month. The press is starting to notice." Patricia's smile was sharp as winter ice. "The press can write what they want. We're not a charity. We're a bank. Down on the street." Thomas watched as a young mother with 2 children approached the bank entrance. The smaller child, maybe 5 years old, was crying. The mother was counting crumpled bills, clearly calculating if she had enough for whatever desperate transaction awaited inside. Thomas recognized the look. He'd seen it on his daughter's face 30 years ago. "Excuse me, ma'am," he called out softly. The woman flinched, clutching her children closer. Her eyes darted to his cardboard sign, then to his worn military jacket. I don't have any change," she stammered. Thomas smiled, the kind of smile that had once charmed boardrooms across 3 continents. "I'm not asking for money. You look like you could use some help." The woman's eyes filled with tears. I need to ask for an extension on our mortgage. My husband lost his job. We're just 2 months behind. But they're saying they'll foreclose if we don't pay everything by Friday." Thomas nodded slowly. "What's your name?" "Sarah. Sarah Chun." He memorized it, then reached into his pocket and pulled out 3 $20 bills, deliberately wrinkled and worn. "Take your kids somewhere warm. Get them some breakfast. Let me see what I can do." Sarah stared at the money. "I can't." "Why would you?" "Because 30 years ago, someone should have done this for my daughter," Thomas said quietly. "Go on. I'll be here when you come back." As Sarah hurried her children toward a nearby cafe, Thomas stood up. His joints protested, sitting on cold concrete. For 3 hours had taken its toll on his 70-year-old body. He walked through Chase Bank's revolving doors. The transformation was instant. The warm air hit him, carrying the scent of expensive coffee and leather furniture. Soft jazz played through hidden speakers. Everything screamed money and exclusivity. The security guard, a young man named Derek with ambitious eyes, immediately stepped forward. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." Thomas kept walking toward the service counters. "I need to speak with someone about an account." Derek's hand went to his radio. "Sir, this bank has a dress code. And we don't." He paused, searching for corporate appropriate words. "We don't service individuals in your situation." "My situation?" Thomas turned, and for just a moment, Derek saw something in those gray eyes that made him step back. But the moment passed, and the old man just looked tired again. "Please leave, sir, or I'll have to call the police." By now, several customers were watching. A few had their phones out, sensing drama. Patricia Hawthorne, drawn by the commotion, emerged from the elevator. "What's the problem here, Derek?" "This gentleman refuses to leave, Miss Hawthorne." Patricia's nose wrinkled as she took in Thomas's appearance. His jacket was authentic military surplus, but stained and frayed. His boots had holes. He smelled like rain and the streets. "Sir," she said in her most condescending tone, "Chase Bank requires a minimum balance of $10,000 to open an account. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the check cashing place down the street." Thomas smiled. "I'm not here to open an account. I'm here to close one." A few customers laughed. Patricia's smile turned cruel. "Of course you are. Derek, call the police. I want him charged with trespassing." "Wait," Thomas said, reaching into his jacket. "He's reaching for something," Derek shouted, grabbing Thomas's arm and twisting it behind his back. The old man went down hard, his knee cracking against the marble floor. "My wallet," Thomas gasped. "I was reaching for my wallet." But Derek was already dragging him toward the door, Patricia following with satisfied clicks of her Louboutin heels. They threw him out onto the wet sidewalk. His Yankees cap fell off, revealing a scalp marked with old scars. "If you come back," Patricia announced loudly enough for the gathering crowd to hear, "you'll be arrested. This is a place of business, not a homeless shelter." She turned on her heel and marched back inside, missing the way Thomas slowly got to his feet, pulled out an ancient Nokia phone, and dialed a number from memory. "James. It's me. Yes, I'm fine. Listen, I need you to execute the Tokyo Protocol. Immediately. Target is Chase Manhattan, specifically the Park Avenue branch. That's right, all of it. And James, make sure Patricia Hawthorne knows why." Inside the bank, Patricia was basking in the approval of her wealthier customers. "We have to maintain standards," she was saying when her phone buzzed. "Ma'am." Marcus looked pale. "You need to see this." On his tablet was a Bloomberg news alert. "Mysterious sell OFF, unknown entity dumps for $0.7 billion in Chase stock." Patricia frowned. "So? Market manipulation happens every." Her phone rang. Corporate headquarters. "Hawthorne, what the hell did you do?" CEO Robert Steinberg's voice was near panic. "Someone's attacking us. They're calling in every loan we've borrowed from overseas. The Japanese are pulling out. The Saudis are demanding immediate payment. We're hemorrhaging billions by the second." Through the window, Patricia could see Thomas Morrison still standing on the sidewalk, calmly talking on his phone. Their eyes met through the rain-streaked glass. Another alert. Chase Manhattan stock down 18% in 10 minutes. Trading halted. "It's coordinated," Steinberg was screaming now. "Someone with enormous influence is systematically destroying us. The Fed's on the line. The Treasury Secretary wants answers. Who did you piss off?" Patricia's legs felt weak. She watched Thomas end his call and slowly walked back toward the bank entrance. This time, Derek didn't stop him. The security guard's face had gone white. He'd been checking his phone and seen his Chase retirement account evaporate. Thomas entered, leaving wet footprints on the marble. The entire bank had gone silent. Every screen showed the same thing. Chase Manhattan in free fall. "My name," Thomas said, his voice carrying despite its softness, "is Thomas Morrison. You might know me better as TK Morrison." The blood drained from Patricia's face. TK Morrison, the ghost of Wall Street, the man who'd built a shadow financial empire worth hundreds of billions before disappearing after his daughter's suicide. The daughter who'd lost her home in the 2008 crisis when banks like Chase had foreclosed on millions. "No," she whispered. "You're supposed to be dead." Thomas smiled sadly. "I've been dead for 30 years. Miss Hawthorne, ever since Chase Bank foreclosed on my daughter's home while I was overseas, building the fortune that would have saved her. She killed herself 2 days before I could wire the money. Left a note saying she couldn't face her children being homeless." His phone rang. He answered it on speaker. "Mr. Morrison?" The voice was trembling. "This is Robert Steinberg. Please, sir, stop this. We'll do anything." "Anything." Thomas looked around the bank. "Here's what you'll do. First, you'll forgive every mortgage in default that's less than 6 months behind, nationwide. Second, you'll rehire every employee you've laid off in cost-cutting measures this year with full back pay. Third, Ms. Hawthorne and every executive who attended this morning's meeting will resign without severance." That's impossible. It would cost billions." "You're already losing billions," Thomas said calmly. "Every second you argue, I make another call. Would you like me to contact your London derivatives partners? I believe you're leveraged about 60 to 1 there." Steinberg's voice cracked. "Please, you'll destroy the entire banking system. The system destroyed my daughter. And thousands like her. Millions, actually. So yes, if necessary, I'll burn it all down and rebuild it properly." He checked his watch. "You have 5 minutes to announce the mortgage forgiveness." "For minutes 59 seconds, 58. "Do it," Steinberg screamed at someone in his office. "Issue the statement now." 3 minutes later, every major news network broke the story. Chase Manhattan announces unprecedented mortgage forgiveness program. Stock price begins recovery. Thomas turned to leave, then stopped. He looked at Derek, who was standing frozen by the door. "You did your job," he said gently. "Nothing personal. But next time someone asks to reach for their wallet, maybe let them." To Patricia, who had collapsed into a chair, he said nothing. Her career was over, and they both knew it. As he walked out, Sarah Chun was returning with her children. She saw the news alert on her phone and started crying. "Your mortgage has been forgiven," Thomas told her. Go home. Hug your children. How did you? But Thomas Morrison was already walking away, disappearing into the Manhattan rain. Behind him, Chase Bank was counting the cost of throwing out a man who could buy and sell them with a phone call. The next morning, a bronze plaque appeared on the sidewalk where Thomas had sat. Sometimes angels look like beggars. Sometimes beggars own banks. Always choose kindness. Patricia Hawthorne cleaned out her desk that afternoon. As she carried her box of belongings past the spot where she'd thrown out Thomas Morrison, she noticed something that made her stop dead. A new cardboard sign, propped against the wall. Power without compassion is worthless. T.K. Morrison. And beneath it, printed in small letters, Chase Bank is now under new management. All are welcome. The security footage of that day became the most watched video in financial history. Not because a billionaire had brought a bank to its knees, but because it showed something rarer, a father's love, 3 decades old, still powerful enough to change the world. Thomas Morrison disappeared again after that day. But every Christmas, Sarah Chun and thousands of families like hers receive a simple card. Home is safe. Merry Christmas. A friend. Some say he died. Some say he moved to a monastery in Tibet. But Derek, who still works security at Chase, swears he sometimes sees an old man feeding pigeons in Central Park, wearing a Yankees cap and smiling at something only he can see. And if you ask him for spare change, he always says the same thing. I gave it all away. But let me tell you about my daughter. She would have loved this weather. The rain in Manhattan still falls. But at Chase Bank, no one gets thrown out anymore. They remember the day they threw out the wrong man and nearly lost everything. Because sometimes the man in rags owns the castle. And sometimes that's exactly what the castle needs to learn.